Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel. This is round 3 against GenericServices in the best of 3 matchup of Rise of the Samurai tournament we got going on here. This is technically an exhibition match since I've cleared the first 2 matches, but we wanted to do this anyway just so I could give him a few pointers, give him a few tips, and because we were having a bit of fun here. I'd noticed he did do a lot better in this game than in previous ones. I like to think that's because of those tips I gave him, but it's also probably just because he's getting a little bit more experienced as we play these games. Now, the map here is Chugoku River. Chugoku River is a pretty interesting map just because of the variety of terrain it has. It's got some fairly open spots, it has some hilly spots, it has these water features along the rivers, it has these hills with trees on top of them, and of course it's got like these open field sort of things near the capture points. Now, despite the fact that it has got a lot of varied and interesting terrain, what this map usually generates into is people using these hills as a sort of focal point. So I knew that, and I built my army designed around the premise that I would have to assault a hill. So my army here is Sword Attendants, Naginata Levy, 3 Naginata Warrior Monks, and my Naginata Warrior Monk heroes. For cavalry, I have 2 Mounted Samurai, and my general. Now the reason I've gone for this particular composition is that to assault a hill you need a very strong infantry component. You don't want to overemphasize bows, and you want to make sure you've got just a little bit of mobility in case your opponent has decided to do something other than camp the hills. If my opponent, for example, had decided to sort of capture the dojo in the center and then run something off to the side to capture the other ones, I would need units that could run them down, and a good unit for that are the Mounted Samurai, because they can sort of shoot at the unit as they're trying to capture. Now my opponent, GenericServices, has gone for the sort of army composition you tend to see in this sort of situation. He's got 2 bow attendants, they're in the woods right now. He's got 3 sword attendants. He's got a Naginata Levy. He's got 2 Naginata Warrior Monks, his general, and his Mounted Samurai hero. Now, I'm also going to sort of contest this hill, but I'm only going to do it with these 3 units. I just want to buy myself some time while I capture the sword dojo, the reason being that I need every advantage I can get in taking over this hill in melee. Now, I could have also gotten the farmhouse, but I usually find the bonuses from it so negligible that it's not really worth getting. In this particular case, you have to look for a sort of weakness or an opening that you can exploit when your opponent has a hill bunker like this. And at this point in time, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do to force my opponent off the hill, or what I need to exploit to get onto this hill. So here I'm just sort of skirmishing a little bit with his Mounted Samurai hero using my Mounted Samurai. I'm just sort of hoping that I can cause either a bit of a panic from him so that he'll open up a little bit, or anything of that particular sort. I'm not too worried about my own bows, the reason being that since my opponent is on this hill, which is a very good move when you're the newer player, it gives you a solid advantage. Since my opponent is on this hill, my archery is relatively useless. If I were to try and shoot at these bow attendants, I would lose that matchup even though my bows are theoretically vastly superior. So here I'm just running back. I don't want to lose my bow units needlessly, so what I probably could have done is, since I know my opponent's infantry is set further back, I probably could have just charged in with my Mounted Samurai and my general, hit them as hard as I could, and then backed off. But I wasn't necessarily sure that I wanted to do that at this stage. So my opponent here is moving up his flank Naginata Warrior Monks, and what they're going to end up doing is screen for these Mounted Samurai hero and general's bodyguard, since I think he wanted to protect them from a cavalry charge or a charge in general. But they're too expensive a unit to be doing that with. He should have been doing it with his Naginata attendants, which are hidden in the forest over there, or he should have moved his general around to that side. Now, I'm going to make a slight tactical blunder here, but I have seen sort of what I'm going to be doing in this particular battle. What I want to do here is I want to whittle down his right flank, Naginata Warrior Monks, deal as much damage as I possibly can, smash through his left flank, and then sort of tie him up in the center and left, or sorry, center and his right. Once I've done that, I should be able to wrap up from this side a little bit, and the cumulative morale penalties from the unit breaking through on this side and his friends routing will cause his entire army to chain route. That's the strategy here. Let's see if I can do it. So here's where I sort of spring into action. I've captured the sword dojo just about. I think I'm, yeah, just about there. Once I've gotten all of my infantry in a good position, I'll be able to start skirmishing down those units. I mismanaged my mounted samurai just a little bit, but here you can see this is what he does. Now, this is a better strategy if I've got a very strong melee. If I had taken Naginata cavalry, this would have helped protect his general and his mounted archers. That would have stopped me from getting kills against them or rushing them. Here you can see, however, just shredding the Naginata warrior monks. They're my targeted priority here. And unfortunately, I overstayed my welcome just a little bit. I get too close to these bow attendants. I should have swept around from this side and attacked further from away. So I eat a lot of fire arrows and take a lot of damage, but I'm not too worried about this. Again, I just need to make sure that they stay alive so that he can't kite me after the initial melee clash. So at this point, my infantry is getting ready to charge in, moving all of my infantry forward. My sword attendants are taking a bit of bow fire, but nothing too serious. Now, at this point, he's lost about 30 of these Naginata warrior monks. I'm going to start shooting at them. They're going to take way more casualties just really quickly. Look how fast they're going down. And this is going to let me smash through this flank. Down to half strength. And here comes the charge. Down to below half strength. Now, he's going to have to reinforce that with these sword attendants, pulling his forces a little bit away from the center. And this leaves me with a very strong sort of ball of troops, along with my Naginata warrior monk heroes in the center, to kind of hold him in place for as long as possible. These Naginata warrior monks are just gone. There's so few of them that they're not going to last. These sword attendants, caught in the flank by my Naginata warrior monks, are going to be totally outclassed, and his mounted samurai heroes, you can see, are getting shredded by my bow fire, which I switched to. Here in the center, I just have to hold out, so this unit's gotten all of the bonuses. It's got Bonsai Charge, it's got Inspire, it's got Rally. I absolutely just need them to hold their ground for as long as possible. My Naginata warrior monk heroes have gotten into combat here, so they're going to stick around. Now, his center started to collapse, and that's not because he was really losing in the center. He would have held out for a little bit longer, but his unit started routing on the right. And that gave me a chance to sort of open up that side. These guys started routing. Their flanks were exposed. These guys start routing just because their friends were routing, so I've got that chain route going that I wanted to get. And that's basically how you beat someone who's up on a hill in the forest. Normally it's considered slightly rude to camp in a hill on a forest, but I'm going to let my opponent get away with this. Like, he's a relatively inexperienced player. It's a good advantage. It's a smart idea to take. It was the move that he should have made in this, I think. However, he should have moved over his Naginata levy to this side so that he could block with them. It would have made it much harder for me to get up this hill successfully. I hope that this has been informative. I hope that you'll be able to put these sort of strategies to good use. I'm pretty sure that you could probably have come up with a more clever one in this particular case. But all in all, good set of matches to my opponent, GenericServices. It was a lot of fun.